Weeds have been a threat to agriculture and even wildlife in Douglas County for years. But what determines if a weed is noxious? Jonathan Reif, a Douglas County weed inspector, explains.
Is this plant invasive? Does it crowd out native plants, crop plants? Is it going to remain there or be a problem even with your best management practices? Is it economically damaging? Only non-native plants were allowed to be on the noxious weed list in Colorado. So things that are obnoxious to some people, yucca plants for example, that's a native plant, it won't be a noxious weed. But if you have horses and you have a lot of yucca in your pasture, certainly it's a problem.
The county has identified 11 weeds as noxious. Here's a brief description of each.
Russian knapweed, the creeping root system is such that every quarter inch in some cases there's a bud waiting to come up. It's been proven by veterinary science to be poisonous to horses. Diffuse knapweed, it's poisonous to horses. Horses being such an important part of Douglas County, then we're going to continue to pursue the control of diffuse knapweed. Knapweed is one of several weeds that are called tumbleweeds. We also have spotted knapweed, Canada thistle, which is a very prolific and aggressive weed. It has a creeping root system. I've seen it grow through 6 to 8 inches of brand new asphalt. It's very tenacious. Leafy spurge is another that the creeping root system makes it extremely impractical to use a non-herbicide version of control. Scotch thistle, musk thistle, we're not sure how it came about being here, possibly as a contaminant of hay or grain. It's still a good idea to treat it by pulling it, digging it. You have to wear welder's gloves because you've got to have something that thick to pull it without getting zapped with the spines. Dalmatian and yellow-toed flax, they're escaped ornamentals that refuse to stay where they're planted. The hoary cress and perennial pepperweed were added because we're seeing more of it, and also because our traditional herbicides for the other weeds aren't effective on them. The toad flaxes and the perennial pepperweed and hoary cress are often called white tops. Those four are perennials, creeping root system. If you pull it to try to control it, you're breaking off the root and it'll come back thicker in many cases. These are very tenacious plants, and so you have to be more tenacious than they are in controlling them. Any control program for the perennials will be upwards of 5 years. Unfortunately, the seeds are going to last at least 10 years. We encourage anybody that's managing their property to get rid of them. If they have other plants of concern, then we tell them you ought to just not worry about it because it's native, or you have this plant that's not desirable in your property, and this is what you need to do to take care of it. We've released, since 1990, upwards of 110,000 insects for diffuse knapweed. In some cases, we've seen some dramatic reductions of leafy spurge from the insects that eat it. We continue to monitor research throughout the Mountain West to try to find out what's going to be the best for the weeds that we have.
While the county is working to decrease noxious weeds in our area, what are some methods for weed control that you can use as a property owner?
There are multiple methods for weed control, and none of them in and of themselves work best. There's a place for everything. Leather gloves and strong back are good for just a few of them, and we recommend a shovel on occasion. We do also recommend in this area, especially new home development, that kind of thing, get grass reseeded as quickly as possible. Grasses compete well with the noxious weeds, and you have to have something out there to reduce or prevent soil erosion, and grass is compatible with the herbicides if you choose to use herbicides, and also competitive with the weeds. In many cases we see where if a herbicide is used, the grasses will be rejuvenated because we've taken the competition for the soil nutrients away, so the grasses rebound. There are grazing methods that will work, especially using goats and sheep Goats and sheep like leafy spurge. We use mowing to simulate grazing on county roads. We also look at the combination of mowing or grazing and then a herbicide treatment. Combinations seem to work even better than any of them by themselves. If you have ag-oriented property, grazing in combination with herbicides is a good idea. You can keep your ag status, expend less money, and still get the same results.
There may be more to spraying herbicides than you think. Knowing what kind of herbicides to use, on what plants, and when to spray them is key. Here are a few that Douglas County works with.
This is high dep. It works very well on annual plants, not so well on perennials like Canada thistle or leafy spurge. If you have Canada thistle, I would add high dep or some other form of 2,4-D to Redeem to maximize your control. This is Redeem herbicide. It's also known as Confront. It works quite well on diffuse knapweed and the thistles. We promote it along with Curtail as options to use under trees. The half-gallon container is enough for 2 acres. Plateau herbicide is very good for leafy spurge in the fall. 12 ounces the acre will take out the spurge. It's comparable in its control measures to Tordon 22K, which has been the benchmark for years. Tordon is a restricted use product, and therefore, because of state regulations, we cannot distribute it through our giveaway program. The Plateau is even better in the fact that you can use it near trees where Tordon you cannot. And if the water table is closer than 10 feet, you cannot use the Tordon, where the Plateau you can. Even in areas where Tordon is usable out in wide open pasture areas, we're recommending probably every 4th or 5th year that they switch to Plateau to try to keep the weeds off balance. Now, Plateau is recommended that you have methylated seed oil as a wetting agent or surfactant. This one is an inexpensive version. 1 packet per backpack will provide the necessary surfactant to activate the chemical. Because of a price spike on Redeem, we probably will switch our giveaway to Curtail at this time. 3 quarts to the acre will control Canada thistle. 2 quarts to the acre will control the knapweeds and the other thistles. In spring, primarily from 1st of May to usually the end of June, that's the time to spray. You can extend that by mowing if you have moisture in the area and go back in later and treat it. From about August 15th to October 15th, or sometimes up to Halloween, you can get good results in the fall. It's still a good idea to continue your treatments even in a drought year.
It's true. Douglas County offers free herbicides twice annually to qualifying residents. Why?
To instill in them a desire to treat the weeds on their property. Because of the continuing influx of people in Douglas County, we aim it at first-time participants. We encourage them to contain the weeds on their property, and we give them a list of dealers that they can buy the products from or buy the services from. We do loan backpack sprayers out for the public to use without a deposit. We let you borrow it for up to a week to spray the weeds on your property. It wouldn't be a bad idea for some homeowners associations to go together and purchase a sprayer to share among the community. Certainly, we're more than willing to help them purchase their own equipment. We encourage anybody that wants to participate to come by or call our office.
For more information, check out the county's website or stop by their office and pick up any number of flyers on noxious weeds in Douglas County.